little tips and tricks that basically we kind of missed or kind of didn't really necessarily need along this project or along this pathway. The one I'm going to introduce to you today, basically the two big things I'm going to talk about are Artboards as well as the Pathfinder menu. Artboards you all have dealt with at some point or another, but usually consisted of me coming over and just kind of doing it for you. So I just at least want you to make sure that you comprehend what an artboard is. So back in the day, this is a newer version of Adobe Illustrator. This isn't the newest version, but this is a newer version. Back in the day, basically this white board, the piece of paper that we draw and doodle on, this would have been considered your canvas. I probably have referred to it as your canvas in the past because that's where my brain is. But technically speaking, they don't call this a canvas anymore. They now call this the artboard. The artboard, what's neat about this is you can, let's say for example that you have a client. And this client says, okay, I need a 3-page, document, right? Well, rather than making 3 Adobe Illustrator documents, I can actually put 3 individual artboards, like 3 canvases side by side, and just have them save as 3 individual pieces of paper, and they'll correlate together. I can print in the front and the back and do a whole bunch of stuff like that. So page layout, that'll work like that. I can also set up my artboards where they kind of overlap. So say for example that I've got this really big poster that takes up this entire canvas, right? But I also know that if I go to particular printers, they might need a slightly different size. Not a hugely different, but a slightly different. So maybe if I go to one printer, they really like this big square kind of canvas, right? Maybe the other printer likes more of a kind of tall, narrow canvas, something kind of right down in the middle, like a tall rectangle, right? I can set up an artboard that would just basically slice off those edges so that whenever I go through and save it, I don't, again, have to make a whole new document that cuts off the edges. I can just say, oh, save this file and use this second artboard instead. And it'll just slice off those edges for me and really do me a lot of time saving, right? Which is pretty beneficial. All of that, at the end of the day, really boils down to, for you guys, I know you've done it a couple times, especially with our most recent project, if you have stuff that spills over the edge of the page and you want that sliced off, you just tell the computer that you want to use the artboard, usually artboard 1, which is what we're looking at right now. This is artboard 1. It's kind of pre-generated. If you tell the computer you want that, it knows, okay, take this piece of paper, slice off the edges, gives you that nice, crisp, clean edge. If I just do save as or even export and I have stuff spilling over the edge, it's going to assume that I want all of that jazz. And so that's why sometimes your pictures kind of have things kind of spilling over on them. So those artboards allow us to kind of cut those edges off. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to use them. They're extremely easy. You might already have it loaded up on your little sidebar over here. But just to make sure that you have it, because you may not, you just go up to Window. And you'll see right in the A's there is the word Artboards. Go ahead and click on that. And again, it might already pop up as if you already have it. That's fine. I just want to make sure we all have it kind of ready to go. In my case, it's actually merged with my Layers tab because they kind of work interchangeably a little bit. So I've got this artboard. Now again, like I said, I could make a new artboard, and that's super easy. You just click that little teeny tiny piece of paper down there, just like you would with a layer. Go ahead and click on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn these lights on. What's that? Go up to Window, up at the top. There's the word Window, the top little bar up here. Right? And then inside Window is Artboards. So again, you can make a new artboard, and it's just that easy, and bada bing, bada boom, hey, now I got 2 canvases. Right? It literally is that easy. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler. And you could make 3, 4, 5, 7,000, right? Theoretically, if I was making my own children's book, i.e. not all of us individually, right? But if I was making my own children's book, I could very easily just keep making more artboards, have them all on one big picture, and that way it would save a lot of time, save a lot of effort. I wouldn't have to rummage through, which file was that? Where did I put that picture? It's all on the same page. Whenever I save it, I can save them as individual JPEGs, and it'll just save, 14 different pictures for me automatically. It really does save a lot of time. This originally comes from a different Adobe program called Indesign, which is literally a page layout piece of software. If you get into graphic design as a career and you start making like advertisements or think like those little flyers you get whenever you go to like the guidance office and they hand you like, here's how to be a better human. And they hand you those little tri-fold papers, right? I got like 80,000 of those when I was a kid. I never looked at them. But you should. You should. But whenever you have those kind of trifold papers, again, you can set up your documents to have this kind of page layout, like how do I put the text on this side as opposed to that side? How do I fold it just so all that can be done in the computer and save you a whole lot of time. Now let's say, for example, that I need to change the size. We have 2 artboards, and again, we're just practicing right now. We're going to delete all this stuff. But let's say I need to change the size of these. So if you look in your Artboards kind of tab right here, this drop-down board, you'll notice there's like a weird little square with little tiny crosshairs on the side there, off on the right, right? It's kind of got like little tiny like cropped edges, little tiny square. Just grab one. I don't care if you want to do Artboard 1 or Artboard 2. It doesn't really bother me one way or another. But if you just click on it once, it'll give you this little pop-up window. And inside this window, it lets me basically manipulate the size and scale and scope of my individual piece of paper, this canvas, right? So you'll notice here that I've got my preset at custom. I can grab other ones, but again, we're doing custom. I can change the width and the height of my page. So go ahead and, just for the sake of argument, change the width and the height. Whatever size you want to make it, because again, we're just playing around. You want it to be 2 inches by 46 inches. I don't care. Type in some kind of different size. I'm going to do mine too. Do 18 inches by, I don't know, 3. 3, ooh, 3 by 18, oh. Yeah, you feel free to switch yours over to custom if you like. Letter is just going to automatically switch it to 8.5 by 11. You can switch it again to like a tabloid, which will be like a newspaper, or not newspaper, a magazine kind of size. You can switch to legal, A4, A3, all these things. Yeah, I mean, they've got the Fire Nook iPad. Like, I mean, it's got everything kind of pre-programmed in there. Okay, that's all right. You should be able, no matter what you pick, you should be able to still change it though. So like, just go in there. The second that you type in something new, it should automatically switch to custom for you. That work for you? So like, for example, I grabbed letter, and I'm just double clicking it like the width. Okay, I'm just changing it. That easy. Now, I've got a whole bunch of other options here, right? I can show a center mark. Doesn't take a genius to figure out what that does. I can show crosshairs. I can show video safe areas. So all this stuff that you're seeing here allows me to organize my page and compose my page. For example, if this is going to be like a still frame for an advertisement, right? Picture like I'm making a commercial and I want that last, like, you know how commercials end in like the last 30 seconds is like, you know, just this still frame of like, call Joe's Plumbing, 1-800-555-4321. That's it, that number again, 1-800, right? You know, that last frame on every commercial. Well, instead of doing that in the video editing software, I could do that right in Illustrator, save that as, you know, a nice file there, pull that into my video software, and just have that be a still image, and then have someone narrate over top of it, right? That would make sense because, again, Adobe Illustrator gets rid of a lot of that pixelation. It's a really clean, crisp image, which is what you want on your TV screen. However, in the world of TV, you also need what's called a TV safe. This is true in printing as well, but you see these kind of, if you turn on TV safe, just so you guys can kind of see it, these green, kind of lime green lines, what they're doing is basically giving you a little bit of a buffer zone, because again, you can't guarantee that every single person's watching your ad on the same size television, right? Some TVs, you know, are the big HD, 4K, you know, widescreen, you know, mothers, right? Vice versa, maybe you still got the old CRTV with the little tiny, you know, kind of square and big butt on it, the old cathode ray tube TVs. They don't even make those anymore, but they're still fun to play Duck Hunt on. You guys play Duck Hunt? No, just me? All right, just pull out the old Nintendo. It's a good game. All right, so anyway. So all of that, right, you can't guarantee that, you know, you're going to watch the same commercial on the TV and you're going to watch the same commercial on TV. So these TV safe lines allow you to basically say, okay, this central kind of little square here is going to be safe for all televisions. Now, you still want your ad to extend to the edge of the page, right? Because again, if you have a big widescreen TV, you'd have like a weird like buffer of nothing. That would be weird, right? But you want your text and the information that's really important to be inside that lime green square, and that way you can ensure that anyone who looks at this ad is going to be able to see it. I'm sure at least some point in your life someone has made a commercial or you've seen something on TV where like the text kind of hangs off the screen and like it gets kind of snipped off, or there's maybe like a picture or something that just kind of gets cropped. That does happen occasionally, and that's simply because they never bothered to turn on this TV safe filter. So again, that's a whole bunch of jazz, a whole bunch of stuff we got going on. And of course, you can always, just with the flip of your button, there's the orientation. Let's say that I type in these numbers, and I go, oh, I need it to be landscape. I just click that little button right there, and it flips it for me automatically. So I can go from landscape to portrait, portrait to landscape. Okay? So, all that really pretty easy peasy, not too crazy, right? You can go ahead and hit OK, that's fine. And you'll notice that now we have two different sized artboards. They might even overlap depending on how big your artboard was. Now what's cool is, again, we can go in and we can manipulate these artboards even more, but for the sake of argument today, we're just going to pause right there. If you find in the future, for our future projects, especially toward the end of the year, that you want a multiple page kind of document and you want to learn more about this, I'm more than happy to teach you individually. So okay, so there's artboards. Done. All right, next up, I want to talk to you more about shape modes and the Pathfinder, because this is that tool that I probably should have taught you earlier in the year, but it also makes your life so incredibly easy that it would be silly for me to bother to give you this information. So here we go. Again, up to your window. You might already have this tab, but I want to make sure that everyone's got it. So we're in the window kind of drop down bar here. Go all the way down toward the bottom, and you'll see the word Pathfinder. Pathfinder. There it is. I'm just going to move mine so you guys can see it. Plunk it right out there. Okay, so Pathfinder is a really, really useful tool. Okay, definitely, like I said, you guys are going to be angry at me that I haven't taught it to you earlier. So just let that rage from math class spill over onto me. That's fine. All right, so here's what we're going to do. First things first, we need to have something to manipulate, right? So just grab your shape tool, a circle, a square. I don't really care what shape, maybe a star. And I'll do a circle. And just on one of your artboards, doesn't matter which one, go ahead and just make a shape, whatever the heck you want. Fill it in with a color. Give it a nice fill color, whatever the heck you're feeling. I'll do a green one. Feeling green today. It's not easy being green. Okay, there's that. And then go ahead and make another shape. I'm going to do something different. I'll do a square. And make it a different color as well, just so we can have some fun with this. And make sure that those shapes, doesn't matter how big they are, how small they are, just make sure that those shapes are overlapping in some way. That's all that I ask. Two shapes overlapping in some way. Okay? Good, right? Cool, okay. So, notice in the Pathfinder, you'll notice that you've got these little tiny icons, and each one of these is its own separate button, right? These little tiny icons, and you'll see there are shape modes, and there are Pathfinder kind of modes, we'll say, kind of different options, right? So, what you have basically is these shape modes here. We've got Unite, we've got Minus, we've got Intersect, and we've got Exclude, okay? Down in our Pathfinders, we've got Divide, Conquer, oh no, that's not right. Divide, Trim, Merge, Crop, Outline, and Minus Back. Now, Minus Back and Minus Front are relatively the same, but I'll let you assume which does which, right? So, minus front, whatever shape you have on front gets kind of subtracted, right? Minus back, vice versa, right? So here's what I want to do. With your selection tool, the black arrow there, go ahead and select both of your shapes. So they're both selected. And you'll notice that just like some weird messed up Venn diagram you'd talk about in English class where you're reading the Iliad or something, there's a weird little tiny shape in the middle where these two objects, these two shapes overlap, right? Now let's say for some weird reason, I don't know why, I desperately, as an artist, I need this weird half square, half circle, central shape, right? I don't want this green bit. I don't want this red square. I need this nice, juicy middle Venn diagram core, right? Now, I could spend the next 3 hours trying to use my pen tool and making straight lines and a nice curvy edge, and I could do that. I absolutely have that power. However, it's way easier to use the shape tool and then to analyze, okay, let's see, which one of these could I use? All right, well, Unite isn't going to do that for me, because Unite, if I click that, just turns them into one singular object, right? That's cool, just one object. That's cool, but it's not what I want. Okay, let's see what else. Minus front. All right, so whichever shape is in front, right, that being the red square, it pops it out. Gone. slices it away. Anything that was red is now cut out just like a cookie cutter. Slices right through it. That's great if I'm trying to make a green Pac-Man, but does not help me out at all if I'm trying to make this little central juicy core. Intersect, however, does exactly what I want, right? So go ahead and click any of those shape modes, any of the top 4 shape modes you pick, play around, right? What would exclude do? Right, we didn't even get to that one, right? See what happens. So again, some of this stuff, I'm not going to lie, you probably will never use. There's no real necessary reason for it. However, sometimes you do need some goofy, weird little like half of a circle kind of shape for whatever reason. And rather than spending half your day trying to, use the pen tool and draw out this perfect little half a circle, it's way easier just to use this Pathfinder tool, this shape mode, and let it do all the heavy lifting for you. Right? It's pretty classy. Let's go ahead and toss that guy on the side. Go ahead and make 2 new shapes. Again, whatever colors you want. Make sure that they're overlapping in some way. I'm going to do a star because you're a star. Again, I'll do I'll do red and green again, just so that you can see the difference on the screen. So I've got I've got square and I've got a star ready to go. They are overlapping, looking good. This time, let's check out our Pathfinders. Like I said, I've got divide, trim, merge, crop, outline, and minus back. Now, minus back we can probably assume, right? Oh, I probably should have my stuff selected. Do that first. Minus back, yeah, it subtracts the back shape, right? So you can imagine here, wherever the heck my big box right there is, whatever I click, just like a cookie cutter, just cuts it right out and leaves me the last little bits. However, go ahead and play around. Pick any of these Pathfinders. They're going to be relatively similar to your shape modes, that's why they're in the same menu, but they're going to do slightly different things, right? Right? So for example, divide, right, kind of slices my pieces apart. It will automatically group it. It will automatically group your shape. So you want to make sure to have the time to ungroup that. But then I can get in here and I can break my whole shape apart into separate icons. Right? So if I need just the tip of this green star and then I need to go ahead and expand it, I can get a perfect, easy little triangle. I can literally just divide and conquer. Just like so. Cool. So play around. You guys tell me if you guys were able to here. Let's see. Who used merge in our Pathfinder? Did anyone use merge? Yeah? What did it do?
It made it blind the shape.
Well, it kind of like collects it all together, right? Totally. Who used, what do we got? Crop? No croppers in the room? That's cool. That's cool. How about trim? Yeah? What'd you guys use? Use merge? Okay. What happened whenever you use merge? Yeah. Good. Bless you, bless you. All right. So, bless you. So we've got these different Pathfinders and these different shape modes, right? And again, all these little tidbits here allow you to expedite, to speed up your process. That's the name of the game, right? It's how can I get this job done quicker? Because there are going to be projects in this class and in real life where you as a graphic designer have to choose between really hitting that deadline, right? How can I cut this corner and make this thing happen extra quick in order to make sure that I nail that deadline? Right? In this case, rather than spending all day with the pen tool, you could hammer out a couple basic shapes using the Pathfinder, buzz right through it, and then spend the rest of your time using that pen tool to make things extra nice. Now I want to show you one last little tidbit here before we totally say goodbye to our Pathfinder. I do have other tips and tricks to teach you, and those are going to be for our next project, but I want to make sure you felt comfortable with this guy first. Last little thing we're going to do is this. Go ahead and make a big old star. Make it whatever color you want. Just a nice big old honkin' star right there. I'm going to make mine, I don't know, like a lime green. Boom. Perfect. Okay. And now instead of using another shape, I'm going to go ahead and use my text tool. And I want you to go ahead with your text tool and just type. and type whatever the heck you want. Type your name, type anything, right? And go ahead and do my name. Make it, a different stroke weight, or find a different font type. Find something, make it really large and in charge, something that commands the scene. Whenever you've done that, make sure that your text is over top of your star shape. Right? Now, select both of those. Right? And see, oops, we have to unlock that, sorry. So, I apologize, I missed a step there. Grab your text, because right now it's still in text mode. I can still edit it. Right? We want to transform this text from being editable, right, to being a literal shape. To do that, super easy. Just select just your text with your selection tool, the black arrow there. Right-click on it. And you'll notice there's a little tiny button here that says Create Outlines. Right? So you grab it, you create outlines. Now it's no longer editable because now it has gone through and basically vectorized this text for you. And you'll notice you get millions of tiny little nodes, little anchor points all over your letters, right? Now they're individual shapes, like you spent the last 4 hours using your pen tool to actually script this all out, right? Again, just to show you how to do that, grab your text, right-click, create outlines. That's what you're looking for, okay? Now that you have that, now you can select everything. And go ahead and use one of those shape modes or one of those Pathfinders. Right? Just like a cookie cutter, you can slice out those letters. In my case, I used this minus front because my text was on front. Right? And what's cool is, let's see, what if I wanted a lens flare here? Go ahead and make one. And what if I wanted that lens flare to be, we'll use my arrange tool to send it back so that it's behind my name. Right? Now that looks actually kind of gross. But I could do that with anything. I could put any picture back there. Some kind of texture, some kind of, swatch, some kind of image. I could put anything I wanted back there and it would show up because basically my letters are now cut out. They're removed. Right? Again, just like a cookie cutter or something like that. So for example, what if I change my color? And again, place him behind, right? You get the idea, right? It's now see-through, right? So if for some reason you ever needed letters to be see-through, or if you need anything to be punched out of another image, all you need to do is have that shape filled in. Make sure that you right-click on your text in order to create outlines so it becomes a shape, and then you can also punch through that again with your Pathfinder tool. It would have been insanely helpful, right? And I'm such a jerk for holding it back. Our next project, not this one we're going to jump into, our next project, I've got even more little helpful tidbits that I probably should have told you earlier on. But a struggle is good. It's real. A struggle is real. Okay, so that's what we got going on. Feel good? Awesome. All right, so go ahead. You can close out of that. We're going to jump into our next project.